Welcome back on board the Starship. And that music video was by Steve McGee. And you can find more of Steve's work on the internet. If you just Google Steve McGee music video, you'll be able to find some of his work on YouTube. And we are joined by the Starship rodent, Ulysses. Now, some people have suggested that Ulysses here is named after the Greek mythological character. In fact, that's not strictly true. He's named after the cult 1980s television program Ulysses 31, which was actually based on the Greek mythological character. I didn't understand a word of that program. It was very Bob Lazar, but it had a great theme tune. Okay, now it's time for the interesting person of the week. And this week it's Brian, who's an ex-footballer nonetheless, and he's talking about his UFO sighting.
My name's Brian Croft and I'm from Chester, and about 5 or 6 years ago I had an experience of actually seeing a saucer-shaped craft. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was driving along quite high up on a hill where you can actually see quite a distance of the Cheshire area and the Welsh area, and I noticed just sort of hovering behind a cloud was a silver disc, and originally I assumed, well, it was a plane, but what drew my attention to it was the stillness, and it didn't move. And then as I kept looking and staring, it actually, at great speed, sort of vertically, and I wouldn't estimate whether it'd be a mile, stopped, and then actually just shot off to the right at astronomical speeds, and I was just blown away, and actually 4 or 5 days later, I went into the local shop and was hovering about looking for a DVD, and there was 2 elderly gentlemen behind me that actually witnessed it, and they were actually right beneath it. So that was one of my sort of first UFO experiences.
Very interesting. I think you'll agree. If you suspect that you may be interesting or perhaps have interesting tendencies, then we would like to hear from you. So why not make a YouTube clip, try and keep it under 2 minutes, and send a link to the clip to starship@richplanet.net, and you can talk about anything you like as long as it's interesting. Which brings me to the interesting scientific fact of the week, which is this. If you could drive your car in a straight path from the surface of the Earth directly upwards, you would arrive here in space in just over an hour. Okay. Do you have any pets, Alan?
No, we've got the 2 dogs, but they're not pets.
Yeah.
They're not pets.
I've met Alan's pets. Yeah. 2 Rottweilers.
You've still got both your hands, have you?
Yeah, I've still got both my hands. Yeah. I don't think we'll be introducing Ulysses to your pets.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Right. Okay then. Well, let's continue to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, because I'm absolutely fascinated by it. And one question I've got for you, Alan, if we could put a price on the Ark of the Covenant, what would it be?
My opinion would be about 2 billion.
2 billion? 2 billion pounds. That's 2,000 million pounds.
Well, you see, when we were starting this research, way before we got to this, we met Lord Jack Brooks in the House of Lords. He said, if your research is on the Arthurian side are right, you could create a tourist industry in South Wales, he said, of at least 20,000 jobs. Now, I think we can create an industry of far more than 20,000 jobs. And it's not like a factory. You can't take it away and put it in India or somewhere. It's there for good, permanent. I
mean, this is why I give credence to your Ark of the Covenant work, because of the King Arthur work, which to me seems 100% plausible. The cross, the graves that you've uncovered. I mean, I think we should take a little bit of a look at the method that you used to locate the exact location, which was, we were talking before the break about the star maps. So you believe that these ancient mounds they're built in the pattern of constellations.
Yeah, they can't be otherwise. I mean, in the West Wales map, you've got the complete W of Cassiopeia, you've got the scepter of Sisi for 3 in the bend. There's so much of it, indeed, of Hercules, and you've got Perseus the robber, and they're set out so precisely.
In the mounds.
Yeah, it's difficult to see any other
So
explanation.
have you got any thoughts as to why the ancients used to do that? I mean, these mounds would take a long time to build. They're not little
Oh, no,
things.
these
I
are
mean,
not little
some of them
things,
are
yeah.
40 metres high, aren't
Some
they?
of them are huge, some
Yeah.
are huge, yeah, vast.
So nobody really knows why they would do that, you know, just that they did.
Well, I think they knew a little bit more about what's up there than we do.
Right.
I think they knew a bit more
Okay.
than we think they did.
So, the actual constellation that you thought that the Ark of the Covenant would
Yeah.
be buried at is...
Well, it's got to be within a zone, within the encompass of the entire system, right?
Yes.
And we think that zone is north of Cardiff, the Rhondda. That's the area where it's always been traditional about this chest. See?
And it's the
And-
constellation of Leo.
Well, we thought Leo being the lion was the emblem of Judah. Jerusalem was in Judah. That's where they had the temple. That's where they put the ark and so on. So we thought that was a good bet. So it was really a matter of finding the star Regulus, which is the biggest. There are two first magnitude stars in Leo. One is Tenebola, one's Regulus. So we wanted to say where on the map and Regulus. And there's a vast mound where Regulus should be, a vast mound.
Yeah, I had a look at that last
It's
night
huge.
on Google Earth. Yeah.
And
it's a place called Unis, is that?
Unis.
Unis.
There you go.
It's a huge mound, isn't it? I mean, how big is it?
Well, it's a mound on top of a hill.
Okay.
And so you've got about a 60 feet addition, maybe 4 or 5 acres.
Right. And, you know, it's quite a small object, 2 foot by 4 foot, the Ark of the Covenant. So you kind of did a survey and found various things within the mound. Is that right?
Well, no, what we did first, we located that there were 4 sumps along the north side.
Right, some.
Which I think I would describe them. The
Describe
sump
them now.
is
Yeah.
like a bowl-shaped depression. It's a man-made bowl shape in the side of the hill.
Right, about what, 12
Underground
feet in diameter? Something
Yeah,
like
about that.
Right.
Underground chamber always had a hole in the floor.
Right,
And they dug a tunnel down
right.
towards the outside of the hill. If that's the hill, the tunnel goes down to the outside of the hill. So water coming into that chamber would run down the drain. When it got to underneath the bowl, the shaft would be underneath the bowl. They would make a little tick hole horizontally. So water would come down and have to flood upwards, stop it eroding anything away.
So-
that little shaft would be filled with white stones of 3 types. And if for some reason or other no weeds grow in it, and you find that you've got this plug hole in each one, probably about 18 inches or more wide.
Right. So these stones are a special type of stone which the chemical composition must kill the weeds or stop it from growing.
Well, samples were taken to the National Museum and to a university, and the geologists established that these stones come from Cornwall, 300 miles away. So they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And
And the whole purpose of these things is to keep whatever is inside there dry.
dry, that's right. That was the purpose.
Right.
So we knew roughly from where the sumps were, where the chambers might be.
Okay.
And on the south side of the hill, looking down at Google Earth again, thank you Google, were tram lines.
Right.
Going, not starting from the top of the hill, but about a third of the way down. And we went round there and there was a lot of rubble going, where if you dig a tunnel in somewhere, you throw the stuff out, it's going to roll straight down the hill,
Right.
tram lines.
Right.
So someone had created a tunnel. So we knew where the tunnel was and where the sumps were, and we made a pretty accurate guess that there was a band of area between a certain zone that was worth looking at.
Right. So you then got...
We got
metal
Alan Hassel from London, who's, in my opinion, one of the best metal detector types in the world. He's
Right.
the first guy in the world who ever managed to do metal detection underwater. You know,
Right.
what a character.
Right.
Ordinary guy, but good at what he does. And he's got a detector that goes down 30 feet, and it'll differentiate between ferrous and non-ferrous metals.
Okay.
And we located an item 4 feet by 2 feet, non-ferrous metal, which is the size of the lid of the Ark of the Bible, as in the Bible. Ark of the Covenant, not the Ark of the Bible. And obviously, you know, that is the correct size. It's non-ferrous metal. It's in the right place.
And
Take it from there.
okay, so you were in contact with the landowners when you're doing this
Yes,
research.
yes,
And,
yes,
you know, I
yes.
would be there with my shovel, digging it frantically if that was my land. I mean, what did the landowners say to you about this?
Well, I think they're typically Welsh farmers, and you know, they earn a living from selling, breeding sheep, and they're good businessmen. They've got other businesses as well.
Yeah.
I think they think we're slightly mad,
Right.
if not completely gone. It's a big shock for them, and I think they've made the mistake of consulting some of the experts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people in a university or so who've never thought of doing anything in this direction,
Right.
and have no knowledge whatsoever of what.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of, oh my God. The other thing they don't want is if a big fuss was made and there's nothing there, then they're going to have all sorts up there on the evenings and
because
weekends.
the
you know.
implications.
They don't want them on their land.
So let's say if the Ark of the Covenant is there.
Yeah.
The implications are what to the history of Christianity, and you know, how would we have to rewrite things?
Well, Christianity starts off in Britain in 37 AD, the last year of Tiberius. For a start, it doesn't start in Rome.
Right.
It's taken to Rome in 51 AD by the family of Camelot.
Right.
So that is a fact. Cardinal Bronius, Cardinal Alfred, and
So
I
that
could quote you a whole
completely
list
flies in
of
the face
references.
of what would, you know, the mainstream historians would.
Well, if the mainstream historian does any historical research, then he'd have to agree with us.
Okay.
If they don't do any research, which is most of them, they just read each other's work.
And the other thing, if the Ark,
It's a fact. It's been admitted by the Bishop of Rome anyway.
right, if the Ark was found there, it would possibly be some kind of unifying thing for Islam and Christianity.
Yes, I think so. I mean, the Muslims definitely believe in Moses, and so do the Jews, and so do the Christians. There's a lot of row going on at the moment with certain, let's call them misguided people, want to dig underneath the Temple Mount and go under the mosque there, in Jerusalem. There'd be no need to do that because it's not there.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, you might have a settlement of that contentious issue for a start.
Yeah.
They might find they've got something in common.
Yeah.
You
Which
know.
could unify some of the world's
if you look at
religions,
what you've
which
got
are
in common,
you
rather
know,
than what your differences are.
I mean, I personally think that there are people who are trying to divide and conquer, you know, the religions of the world, and put Muslims against Christians, and you know, create wars.
Well, it's always, religion has always resulted in wars. I mean, let's face it, it's time to stop it. The main thing that I would say is that this is not the only thing that we found using this system. There are 13 Mabinogi tales, right? And the last 3 are about knight errants going on their journeys. Peredur, his steel shirt, is Jupiter going around the stars,
Okay.
the planet.
Right.
Geraint is Mars going around on journeys through the stars.
Right.
You see?
Okay.
And not knights as we know them on Earth charging around the forest. You know?
I see. Yes.
and
Yes.
Therefore, these stories tell us where to go for other things.
Right. So a planet, for example, on your mound map would not be in a fixed position.
No.
It would be moving around as they do.
No.
Yeah.
You follow the journey on land. What's happened in the sky, you can follow it on land. So we found other things. We went in search. Anglo-Saxon Chronicle says that, you know, and they, the British, gathered together all the treasures of Britain in one place and buried them, and no man has ever seen them since.
Okay.
We know where they are.
And
we know where they are.
Just to finish, Alan. I mean, obviously, we could probably do a whole series of programs on your
Go on all
information in all of these books.
Yeah.
You know, would somebody not have perhaps dug that thing up behind closed doors after you've revealed the location, or do you think it's still there?
Oh, it's still there.
And so, what are the likelihood of it being dug up, or do you think the lid's been closed on this? Or
I think the government has to take a hand. I think authority has to step in.
okay,
Firstly, if just for job creation, if just for wealth creation on a permanent basis in a depressed area.
it would revolutionise the tourism industry of Wales, wouldn't it?
In 1986, we had the unedifying sight of 2 large coaches going around parts of Wales, full of politicians and bureaucrats and about 12 Japanese gentlemen,
Right.
who said, give us £150 million of your money we will build a factory with it and employ 5,000 people,
Right.
make motor cars. In the event, the factory went to Sunderland, not to South Wales.
Right. Right.
No, and it only ever employed 3,000.
Right.
We haven't asked them for a cent.
Uh-huh.
Right? And we'll create thousands of jobs.
Mhm.
All we're asking them to do is dig a hole.
Yeah.
Now, there's a big difference, you know.
Yeah. It's just blows my mind that they won't look at that and take you seriously, Alan. And you know, we'll have to invite you back to you know, discuss some more of your work. But really, thank you very much indeed for coming in, Alan. It's fascinating. I need to read some of your books and expand my knowledge of history. So thanks very much indeed.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. Right, and just a quick announcement before we go. We're possibly looking at having a studio audience for the Rich Planet Starship. So if you want to be beamed up onto the craft, if you let us know by emailing starship@richplanet.net. And just a quick word to keep your eyes on the skies, your feet on the ground, and tell all your friends about this show.